Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Mood Wellness Workshop presented by Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS. My name is Mylene. I'm a peer educator. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a fourth year psychology major. And I'm here Hi, with. Everyone.
Yeah,
Welcome
my name is Adam
to our Mood
Abbasi. I'm a
Wellness
second year
Workshop
marketing
presented
major. My
by
pronouns are he,
Counseling
him,
and
and I'm also a
Psychological
mental wellness
Services,
peer
or
educator.
CAPS. My name is Mylene. I'm a peer educator. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a fourth year psychology major, and I'm here Hi, with. Everyone.
Yeah,
Welcome
my name is Adam
to our Mood
Abbasi. I'm a
Wellness
second year
Workshop
marketing
presented
major. My
by
pronouns are he,
Counseling
him,
and
and I'm also a
Psychological
mental wellness
Services,
peer
or
educator.
CAPS. My name is Mylene. Sorry about that. But yeah, like I said, this is the Mood Wellness Workshop. Um, this is a series hosted by CAPS peer educators. We also have other workshops such as sleep, mood, thought, stress, and emotional. We host these every semester. And if you're interested, you can check out our website or Instagram to find information. And the intention behind these workshops is to look into the common struggles that a lot of college students face and help equip students with different skills that they can take away in order to make positive changes in their lives. So, for mood wellness, it can be very important to learn how to process our emotions and manage them. Because I know, like, based on my experience and a lot of other students, we aren't really taught how to do that. So, today we'll be introducing some skills to manage our mood. And, we can't necessarily dictate or decide our emotions, but we have like power to influence our emotions. So with that, we'll be sharing our objectives for today. Oh, also, we also will have opportunities for everyone to share their own experiences and their own thoughts, and we want to encourage confidentiality so everything that's said in chat stays in this space.
So yeah, for our objectives for today, we have three of them. First, we're going to learn how to identify different emotions. Then we'll learn how to understand and accept different difficult emotional experiences. And then at last, we'll increase skill to manage painful emotions and increase positive emotions. So first we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the sheep scale. It's a little different, but basically there's nine different images we have here, different sheep. And we're going to decide how you're feeling today based off the picture. I'll go ahead and go first. It can be multiple things as well. I would say I'm 9 and 1. I don't know. I just kind of feel like I'm in that energetic mood right now.
And then for me, I'm gonna say I'm a two. I think that like it's happiness, but also a little tired, and then also six. So yeah, we encourage you to also identify your emotions using this scale. And now we wanted to share the cognitive triangle, and this is a way to understand your emotional experiences and help them or help you break it down in order to help decrease the intensity of your emotions. So there are three main parts of the cognitive triangle, our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So our feelings refer to the physical sensations in our body. So you may experience a tight chest or sweaty palms. And then emotions are basically what we think they are. So feeling sad, happy, angry, etc. And lastly, our thoughts are the interpretations that we have about an event or an experience. And then lastly, all of these three components lead to certain actions and behaviors that we take. So the main idea here is that understanding these components could help us create healthier responses. And when doing this, which we'll show an example later, but there's no like one part that begins first. It can begin from your feelings or emotions and your thoughts. It just depends on your own personal experiences and what's more noticeable to you in that moment. And, all those experiences are valid. So we'll be sharing a couple examples of the cognitive triangle.
So like Mylene briefly mentioned, all these things are interconnected with each other and they can cause other things. For example, a feeling might cause a thought, and a thought might cause an emotion. An example I can think of on the top of my head is we can see one from the screen right here. You might think, oh, I'm so bad at math. That might make you feel some tightness in your chest or sweaty palms, and that might cause an emotion, which would be worry or fear, or maybe some anxiety. And then and that might cause another thought, which could be I don't feel safe here, and then it can go to another feeling, it can go to another emotion. Basically, what we're trying to emphasize here is that all these different thoughts and emotions and feelings are connected with each other, and that will eventually lead to a behavior or an action. That might be you like just being quiet, shutting down verbally, or maybe you lose some focus. So we really just want to emphasize that all these things are connected with each other.
Yeah, and as you saw from the previous example, there was a lot of like arrows pointing everywhere. It kind of had like a negative loop continuing on, and that's basically example of what it could look like if you aren't really aware of your emotions and sitting with your emotional experiences. However, with using the cognitive triangle and acknowledging either your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and or behaviors, it can help you stop that negative loop in your emotions. So for this example, we have someone who has the feelings of sweaty palms, which leads to their emotions of worry and fear. And let's say that this individual begins to notice and acknowledges these feelings. It can cause them to modify their behavior in which they ask for help or support from a professor or something like that. And then that early intervention, this can lead to the thought that people can help them with what I need when I ask for help. So, from this thought, this person now has feelings of mental ease, and as a result, they have more confidence in themselves. And lastly, here is another way of how we can hone into our emotional experiences in order to create positive or more healthy responses. In the last example, the person acknowledged their emotions. Um, what we see is that our thoughts can also have a big influence on our emotions and feelings. So if a person were to notice their emotions, that for this example is I'm so bad at math. If they start to try to shift their perspective and maybe try to think of more positive thoughts, such as I can control my brain and take care of my feelings, this can lead to feelings of calm and overall more ease.
So now we're going to talk about the pleas. One thing to I like to point out is that physical illness is often related to mental well-being as well. So if there's any sort of physical illness, your mental health might start being a little bit worse. So remember this acronym, please. So the first thing is to treat your physical illness and then eating healthy. That's one of the more important things for sure. We could talk about eating healthy doesn't looks different to everyone. It could be focusing on maybe getting in more protein or maybe just having a bit more of a balanced diet overall. Also, avoiding mood altering drugs is very important. Sleep is one of the most important things for your mental well-being, and also exercise. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be simply taking a walk for like 10-15 minutes, or you can be going to the gym, or maybe playing sport with friends and things like that. Also, one thing we'd like to point out is that focusing on positive events is a very good thing. Focusing on positive experiences, focusing on positive experiences is very, yeah, so it's often natural or common to pay attention to negative aspects of our lives versus like, good and positive things. So paying attention to um, more criticism, more self-criticism for sure, instead of being more positive about yourself. So if you ever find yourself doing this, try to take a deep breath and focus on the positive. You can practice this by doing a small positive, thinking about a small positive activity daily and and take time to acknowledge the good in it, even if it doesn't exactly go how you hope for. Focusing on the strengths of that moment and don't let the minor problems ruin it. And adding one or more two smaller positive activities a day or every week will help you create more happiness over time.
Another skill that we wanted to share is called the opposite. Oh, I said opposite. I'm sorry. The opposite action. So the main idea here is that our emotions can cause us to react and move in certain ways. Another way to think about your emotions is that it provides you with important data or information about your experience, and that it does not necessarily dictate your actions. So you can think of it as emotions are data, not directives. And this exercise, it's essentially what it sounds like, moving in the opposite direction. And there's a lot of research that um, engaging in opposite action can help decrease the intensity of your emotions. So that's something that can give you those tools in order to do that. So one example of this could be through emotions such as fear, anger, and sadness. So if you are experiencing fear, an action urge is typically to run away or avoid the situation. However, the opposite action could be if it's safe, you can go anyway and participate fully or participate as much as you can, which can lead to lessening in the intensity of the emotion of fear. Additionally, opposite action can also work with anger. Let's say you're angry at a coworker or a friend or a roommate. Our first instinct might be to attack this person and to approach them with anger. However, the opposite action would be to kind of pull back just a second, kind of recollect yourself and your own thoughts, try to be kind and see their perspective. So once you feel ready to interact with them and have that conversation, you're able to understand their perspective and um, imagine like sympathy and empathy for that person as well. And then lastly, with sadness, it's very common to withdraw when you're experiencing sadness, to not really partake in the activities that you love or not really socialize as much as you used to. However, one way to do the opposite action is to increase your activity with other people and letting yourself be surrounded by your support system. And with this, it can decrease your feelings of sadness once you engage in the opposite behaviors. So essentially, opposite action can help you feel a much more deeper sense of control in your emotions and your experiences. Yeah, we also want to acknowledge thoughts again, because it can be important to think about how our thoughts have a big influence over our feelings, as we may know. For an example of this, it's important to understand that your thoughts are not 100% facts and to not believe everything that you think. So when you put some space between you and your reaction, it changes your relationship to your thoughts. You can watch them come and go instead of treating them as a matter of fact. If you're stuck on a negative thought, you can ask yourself these questions. So the first one is this true? Often the answer is yes. This would be the brain initially reacting, and it's kind of like the autopilot that is in us and believe is you. Secondly, you can ask yourself, is it absolutely true? For example, is this thought 100% accurate? Can you see the thought in a different way? And then third, you can also consider, how does this thought make me feel? So what are the different storylines and belief systems that you're holding on to? It can be very important to specifically identify the feelings that you're experiencing, really sitting with the emotion. So that can look like sadness, anger, jealous, and hurt. And then lastly, what would things be like if I didn't hold this belief? So here you can really consider and think about what are the benefits to your relationships, your energy, your motivation, things like that. And how it could be like if you didn't hold this belief, how would it help and impact your life?
So our next acronym we have is STOP. This is when you are experiencing a unpleasant emotion or maybe you're just in an unpleasant mood. So the first thing is we have STOP. So that means just pausing for a moment, noticing your body and like ex this the experience overall, and putting some space between yourself and the trigger that's causing the unpleasant emotion. Then we have take a deep breath. Noticing your breathing as you inhale and exhale. Make sure to focus on your breath. That'll help you really calm down and relax. And then our third one is observe, noticing what thoughts are flowing through your mind. What are you exactly reacting to? Identify and know, and it's important to identify and notice sensations in your body and notice any feelings that are getting triggered. And then take a pull back in perspective. Just take a look back and look at the bigger picture. How else can you look at a different situation? Could you look at it in a different perspective? Um, is there like a more realistic explanation or thought? How significant is this right now? Will it matter from a long time from now? And just remind yourself that it will eventually go on and pass. And then our last one is practice what works. Making sure you find a balance. Maybe if there's certain things that help you feel better for sure. Like it could just be hanging out with friends or taking some time for yourself. And just what can you do right now that's best for yourself or others in the current situation. And it's very important to let go of any emotional suffering. Just a reminder that you are not your emotion. Do not tie your identity to your emotion, as all emotions come and go. So it's very important just to observe your emotion, acknowledge it that it exists. Do not judge or reject your emotion at all. It is not good or bad. We experience emotion as a wave, so it's coming and going, like I just said kind of earlier. All emotions come and go. They won't last forever. And you have to practice creating a distance between you and your emotion. Instead of just saying, I am angry, I will fail, and things like that, not really tying your identity to your emotion. Maybe just say, I'm having the feeling of anger or sadness or whatever that may be. I am having the thought of failing. I am having the thought of maybe even succeeding. Making sure you create distance between you and your emotion is very important.
Yeah, like Adam mentioned, there are many ways we can shift our language in order to let go of emotional suffering. And that's a really good example of mindfulness in general. So, mindfulness is a present centered awareness where you acknowledge your experiences when it comes to your thoughts, your feelings, physical sensations, things like that. And like Adam said, not tying those things into our identity and making sure that we view it with compassion as well as another big component of mindfulness. And we're going to play a video basically really showing the power of mindfulness and how it can help lead us with more positive emotions and emotional experiences.
Wolf is fearful, vengeful. There is a story, usually attributed to the Native American tradition, which illuminates different ways of paying attention. An elder, talking to a child, says, I have two wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is fearful, vengeful, envious, resentful, and deceitful. The other wolf is compassionate, loving, generous, truthful, and peaceful. The child asks, which wolf will win the fight? The elder responds, the one I feed. That doesn't mean we try to deny or hurt or kill the angry wolf. If we did that, we'd end up in a long battle, all the while somehow making that wolf more powerful through our hostility and fear. Hating that wolf sucks the strength right out of us. Instead, we calmly pay attention to the angry wolf and let go of believing they have the answers. If we can do that, they end up lying down next to us, no longer an enemy. We help strengthen the kind and loving wolf, giving it nourishment and support so that we can follow it. That peaceful wolf can become our steady companion and show us the way through all kinds of different life experiences. Restful or chaotic, enjoyable or disappointing experiences may come and go, but we can have a guide with us through it all. This is what mindfulness can help you do. Mindfulness allows us to see our thoughts and feelings as they are beginning. It's very powerful to know what we're feeling as we're feeling it, know what we're thinking as we're thinking it. With mindfulness, we can choose what will strengthen and bring into action, and we can choose what we will gently let go of. We don't have to be at the mercy of old habits or old ways of thinking or old ways of being. We are empowered. It just takes practice.
Hope that you enjoyed that video. It's a really, great metaphor explaining mindfulness. And we encourage you to try to implement mindfulness into your daily life and little moments throughout your day. Like we said, or like was shown in the video, it can be powerful to acknowledge your emotions, both the difficult and more positive ones. And as we saw, like we also have the power to give our energy to the ones that will benefit us. So that's something that hopefully you took away from the video about mindfulness. Now we want to transition into CAP services. So we have two online-based services, and one of them is u.fullerton.edu. And here you can find a variety of articles related to wellness, so not only mental health, but also concerns with career, friendships, physical health, and other wellness-related topics. All of these articles are peer-reviewed, meaning that they are trustworthy and reliable. Some activities that we have on here include information about different mindfulness activities. So if you want to start mindfulness, we have a lot of different examples and ways you can practice them, such as square breathing. Overall, this is a 100% free and confidential website available for all current CSUF students. So you would have to log in through your portal. And this is also an anonymous tool as well, so you can, browse through it and look at the things that you're currently experiencing, and also just learning that you aren't alone in your experience.
Thank you, Mylene. Now we're going to talk about here's this wellness activity found on you. It's we call it box breathing. Basically, what you do is you breathe in for 4 seconds, then you hold for 4 seconds. After that, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out, and then you hold again for another 4 seconds, and you kind of just repeat. You can do this pretty much anywhere. There's also another version where it's called it's like we use a triangle instead of a square, where you just breathe in and then you hold and then you breathe out, and then instead of doing the second hold, you just breathe in right away. You can do whatever works for you best. But breathing is like kind of a way to like reset. It's slowing our breathing down allows us to activate our prefrontal cortex, which allows us to have greater mental clarity overall. Next, we have Compass. This is another one of our web-based services that is also free. This is kind of like a navigation tool to find mental health resources around either around campus or around Orange County. It's also not just mental health, it could be a variety of different things. So if you're interested, please scan the QR code right here.
We also want to impart self-compassion for ourselves, essentially being kind to ourselves. This is a quote by Kristen Neff. Instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you're kind and understanding when confronted with personal failings. So as students, we have a lot of different responsibilities, not only as students, but as friends, and we also have other responsibilities in work and with family and things like that. So we want to make sure that through all of those things, we're able to um, give ourselves credit and also not have a lot of pressure on ourselves as we might be experiencing. And if you're interested in learning more about self-compassion, we have selfcompassion.org for more information. We also have a self-compassion scale if you're curious about your levels of self-compassion, and you can find ways to increase self-compassion in your own life. And two other wellness activities that you can implement include positive affirmations. So we talked about the kind of self-talk and thoughts that we tell ourselves, and one way to combat that is to kind of change the way that you think by either writing down or telling yourself certain positive affirmations. It can be simple and short, and looking at these or reading them to yourself can help decrease difficulties in your self-worth and confidence. And then reflection of the day. It can also be important to ground ourselves in understanding our experiences throughout our day. Reflecting on the positive parts and negative parts of our day can give us more clarity and make us feel more present in the moment. And we also have a worksheet that also provides a lot of the tools that we shared today if you want to read more into them as well.
Yeah, like Miley just mentioned, we have the worksheet that'll be on the one on the left here. You can scan that QR code. We also have a mood wellness handout, which is more of a simplified version. It's one page. It has almost the same amount of information as the whole packet. So if you want a more detailed explanation, you can do the one on the left, or you just want something quick, easy to understand and read, you can do the one on the right. And now we have our step ladder of care. So this is the different colors are based off commitment and intensity overall. So at the bottom in the blue, we have like our sorry, not 24/7, our online based services. You can access it 24/7 whenever you want. This includes Compass, you, and our website and social media. If you want to visit our social media, feel free to scan the QR code. Next in the green, it's a bit more commitment based, but it's still very open to pretty much anyone. This is where we have like your in-person events that don't require a reservation or RSVP. This includes like doggy therapy. We have it around once a month. Our own wellness room with nap pods, massage chairs, a yoga room, and relaxation lounge. We are located on Tyne Hall. You can check in on the first floor, and then up on the third floor is our wellness room if you're interested in that. We also have drop-in groups, which is kind of like your professor office hour therapy groups, but it's a lot less commitment. You can show up whenever. We also have wellness coaching, therapy groups, case management. And then up in the yellow and red is more commitment-based stuff. These will require an RSVP or initial consultation. This includes single session therapy, massage therapy, psychiatry services, and also our 24/7 crisis support. And those are part of our crisis services.
Thank you so much for attending. Please follow us on Instagram at CSUFCAPS to be updated on our events. And also we post a lot of like educational content related to wellness. And lastly, please, if you can, fill out the anonymous evaluation. We want to see how we can improve our wellness workshops and see what we're doing well. Besides that, thank you for attending, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.